Welcome to the Story Hour podcast, Voices Unscripted, Stories Rewritten, with your host, Sara Jaswal. Welcome back. This is episode 2 of the Story Hour podcast. I am so happy and excited to be here with you today. If you are new here, I have recorded one other episode and you can watch it on YouTube at the Story Hour podcast, or you can listen to it wherever you listen to your podcast. But definitely they are on Apple Podcasts and then Spotify podcasts as well at the Story Hour podcast. It has taken me a bit to record this second episode. If you listen to the first one, you know that I have a chronic eye condition, that I have a lot of limitations with how much time I can put onto the screen. And let me tell you, with episode 1 and the beginning of the launch of my podcast, I definitely overdid it. Just was trying to get everything done, and I'm learning all the tech as I'm going along. So it's been a lot of work. I'm a one-woman show. I'm doing the recording, I'm doing the editing, I'm doing the uploading, I'm doing all the social media and everything that goes into launching a podcast. And so this time I want to be really mindful of how much time I'm putting on the screen, because I end up paying the consequence for that. My eyes get really tired, they get really sore. There's a lot of pressure that builds up and my vision starts to get a little bit blurry. And so I took that into consideration this time, and I am a couple of weeks out, but I'm just trying to get into the rhythm and the flow of everything. And so I just want to be upfront and honest with you. I don't have a quite an exact schedule of when episodes are going to be uploaded. I will eventually, that is the goal. I'm just trying to get lay of the land of this whole platform and everything. And so eventually I will have a set schedule so you can tune in and know when the episodes will be airing. But for now, I'm just going with it. And this is my process, and I'm taking you along with me. Again, if you listen to episode 1, you know that this podcast is about so many different things, but all coming back to just our stories, our life challenges, everything that we face on the day to day that's not talked about enough, but really wanting to normalize that. And part of that is the insecurities and the self-doubt, leaning into the fear, doing something that's stretching you, that's outside your comfort zone, but it's going to allow you to grow and evolve and to make a difference in the world. And so when I talk about and I share my challenges with my fear and my insecurities and my self-doubt and just fear of failure and all the things, then this is a big part of the Story Hour. It's a big part of me, personally, professionally. And so I'm taking you along on the ride, and I really hope that this inspires you, but also normalizes it, that we all have fear, that we all start somewhere, and that it's not easy. And I don't think it's meant to be easy, even though we wish it was, but it's not meant to be, because there's no growth in that, right? If things were just handed to us, there's no learning in that, and there's no growing in that. And the whole point of life is to grow and to evolve and to keep bettering ourselves. So here we are. Today's topic, what I wanted it to be about is alternative treatment and holistic health. This is almost a little bit of a continuation from episode 1, but I really had this on my mind and heart for a very long time. It's a very big part of my story and my life, personally, professionally, but also with my own chronic health condition. I turned to alternative treatment. If you listen to my first episode, you know that I got diagnosed with a chronic eye condition. I went through a lot of deterioration. I lost a lot of my vision, and mental health was really bad. There's no cure for my condition, and Western medicine has basically told me that there's nothing else we can do, and to prepare myself to keep on losing more vision. So I ended up turning to alternative treatment and holistic health. I was so skeptical at the beginning. I had no idea what that was. I was definitely taking pharmaceuticals, taking all the medicine that I was being prescribed for no reason, without getting to the root cause of my symptoms. And so I turned to alternative treatment, and it changed my life, like full stop, period. And I just want to open up that conversation, because it's a big conversation right now that's happening. And there's a lot of people that don't believe in it, or they have a lot to say about it. But I am here to share my real life story of what led me to that path, what it was like, what it entailed, and just how it's helped me on such a bigger level. And I do want to preface this before I move any forward, is that I'm not against Western medicine. I'm not against intervention. I'm not against pharmaceuticals. However, I believe there's a time and place for them. I do not believe that they are the first thing we reach for when we're trying to support our bodies mentally, emotionally, physically. There's other ways that are non-invasive, that aren't full of chemicals and toxins and side effects. So I just want to preface with that because I do believe that alternative treatment and holistic health is a very powerful tool and we can heal aspects, if not fully. I know people who have fully reversed their conditions or their symptoms by choosing to go the natural route without putting a band-aid on the symptoms, but actually getting to the root cause of what actually is causing this. And everything's connected, our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health. So when you're not feeling good in one area, it's going to impact the rest of your life as well. I get this question asked a lot. It's one of the number one things that I get asked is, how did I get to where I am? How did you heal aspects of your vision? How did you get over the depression and the anxiety? How did you build this life for yourself? You've gone through so much, like how? And so this is what I want this to be about, is really just sharing my story, but also hopefully adding inspiration there that we can take back control of our life. And it's going to look different for everyone for sure. And maybe you won't be fully able to heal something completely, but I think there is a lot of room there for growth and for healing. And so even with myself, I still have a lot of lost vision, but I was able to heal aspects of my vision. And I had a lot of swelling in my retina on top of losing my peripheral and my night vision. I had a lot of swelling, which was a secondary symptom to the condition that I have. I was able to heal that. My swelling, as of last year, when I went to my specialist appointment, which you go every year now, my swelling, he had said, was all gone. And I attribute that to everything that I've done: the mental, the emotional, the physical, nutrition, my diet, exercise, therapy, actually spending time and processing my emotions and giving myself the space to do so, not running away, not numbing it with external vices, whatever, alcohol, drugs, food, whatever it is. And so I do believe it's possible. Another big conversation that I want to have today is that Western doctors don't believe in alternative treatment and holistic health. And I'm not saying all doctors, but I can speak from my own experience and none of my specialists. I have a low vision specialist, I have a retina specialist, and I have my MD that I see regularly. Well, not regularly, actually. I see her maybe once a year. My point is that none of them really, maybe my MD sort of, I think, is a little bit on board, but maybe not. But definitely both my specialists are not on board. And they've had said things to me that now looking back, I wish I had a voice. I wish I had the courage and strength to stand up for myself and say something. But there were things that were said that were so dismissive, and everything that I had done, all the blood, sweat, and tears that I put into my fucking healing. And let me tell you, it's been 7 years and I've put so much into it and it's not recognized. Even though all my swelling is gone, my mental emotional health is way better than it was those years when I was really in the darkness. And they knew that. Every appointment I went to, I'm bawling my eyes out. I'm so dysregulated. I'm so depressed. I'm so anxious. And they don't see that. The other question I get is my treatment in India. If you listen to the last episode, you know that I went to India. I started off my alternative treatment and holistic health journey when I saw my naturopath here in Vancouver. That was October of 2018. And that changed everything, right? That 6-week cycle, I started to see better a little bit, not completely, but I started to see the swelling was lifting and I started to feel my mental health really lift. I felt like this weight lift off my shoulder. And so that was the beginning. And then around that time when I was going to the naturopath, my mom had heard about this hospital in India called Shri Dariyam Ayurvedic Eye Hospital. I laugh now because for the longest time, up until last year, I could not say the name of the hospital. They actually did a PR campaign and asked me to do a video for them to give a testimonial. It was a whole production thing. And while they were interviewing me, I could not say the name of the hospital for the life of me. I might post that clip actually if I could figure out how to do that. But in the clip, I kept trying, and obviously they edited it and made it into a shorter video, but I couldn't say it. But now, ever since I've been back since that trip from India, I can say it now. So anyways, my mom found out about this hospital. She was listening to the Indian radio channel here. We're in Vancouver, BC, in Canada. And she was listening to the radio channel and there was a man on there. He was from India and he was doing a fundraiser here locally trying to raise money for kids in India who don't have money to test their vision. And so obviously my mom heard vision and her lights went on and she was all in. She basically was like, we need to go. We need to go to this fundraiser. We need to see what they can do, what it's all about, etc. She ended up going with my dad. I had so much anxiety and so much depression and so much resistance at that time. I did not want to go. So my parents went, my aunts and uncles went, and they went to the event. And my mom started speaking to the man who was hosting it, and she shared my story with him and told him my condition and my deterioration and my mental health, like all of it. And he said to her, "You need to take your daughter to Shri Daryam Ayurvedic Eye Hospital." He's like, "I've never been there, but I've heard amazing things, and people have gone there with no vision and have walked out of there with vision." And he's like, "You should really go." So, of course, my mom comes home. She's on it, right? She was so deeply invested. Obviously, she's a mom and she's watching me go through everything, trying to heal and trying to fix and trying to do anything they can to get my vision back. And so they had brought it up, but I wasn't ready. I was so resistant. I was so deep in my mental health. And I remember fighting with my parents because I felt like they were pushing it on me. And at one point, I just got really mad and I gave up and was like, fuck, fine, let's go. But everything in my body was saying no. I just said yes to please them, basically. And I was so sick and tired of having the same conversation. Anyways, we hadn't booked any tickets or anything. And I remember I had a breakdown, almost like a panic attack. My body was saying something so different. And I remember calling my brother and I was like, I can't go. I am not going to India. I just can't. And my siblings are such a great support. They're amazing. And I remember my brother saying, I know. He's like, I already sensed that from you. I can already feel that from you. I already told mom and dad, it's not a good time. Just wait it out. And I'm so grateful for him for advocating for that because I get it. My parents are also deeply emotional and deeply upset about what was happening. And so I'm not a mom yet, but I can imagine seeing your daughter like that. And it was fresh, right? Things were so bad. I was off work, I was home, and all the things. And so I really appreciated that someone understood that and I recognized that I'm not ready and I'm in full panic attack mode. And so we put it on hold. And then my parents, they're like, fine, you know what? It's okay. We'll go when you're ready. We're not going to talk about it anymore. We're going to leave it. So that was that. That was around the time I saw my naturopath. Then I started to see a difference. And then December 31st, I come home from the restaurant and I said to my parents, let's go. I'm ready. That was the first time that I actually sat on the computer and researched the hospital and the testimonials. And that was it. And we literally like this, like basically made plans and uprooted and went to India. And so we get to the hospital. It's in the south of India. And I want to talk about what that treatment was like because I get that question asked a lot. What were they giving you? What kind of medicine was it? And so there's two parts to the hospital. One part is the traditional hospital setting, but the other part they have made there is for international patients and they're villas. It's really nice. And it's on the same ground. The facility where the hospital is, it's massive. It's so huge. It's all the way in nature. There's trees everywhere. It's just really beautiful and really healing and therapeutic there. And so we chose to stay in the villa and it's more private and you had your own space. There's a big pool in the middle. And then all around the pool, they have these really beautiful villas. So you have your private bedroom and the bedrooms are huge. They were really big. You have your bathroom in there. And then you also have a treatment room. And so that's where they did some of your treatments. And then you also have a kitchen. So when you walk in, you have a kitchen with a fridge and a stove. You're not really using the stove because you're not really eating. You're eating what they're providing for you. But the stove is there for a family who is staying with you. And then they have a living space, couch, table. A lot of the treatments are done on the couch, actually. Then the bigger treatments are done in the treatment room. So that was a really nice space and it was private. And so the doctors and nurses came to you. That was really nice. And it was beautiful with the pool and the lush trees. And it was just so amazing. I've gone 3 times now and the treatment has been different. It's similar, but different. They take different approaches. But the first time I went, they really did a full-on deep cleanse and detox. And they were giving me all this medication, and all of it is natural. There's no synthetics, there's no chemicals, it's no pharmaceuticals. It's all derived from nature. Everything that they give you is natural, but also grown on site. They use that to make supplements and eye drops out of it. That's what's healing the vision and healing your mental health and emotional health. There was a lot of oils that they use to massage into you. They use a lot of paste that they put on your head and really to nourish and bring back vitality into your cells and to nourish them and to strengthen them. They use ghee is a very big treatment that they use in India at the hospital. And it's one of the bigger ones that they do. There's also a drinking form of it. And there's also one where they put ghee. It's clarified butter and it's medicated. I don't know what they put in it, but they put some sort of probably herbs. The second big treatment that they do at the very end was that hot ghee directly into my eye. And it was supposed to really nourish the retina. And my condition has damaged my retina. There's just a lot of detoxing that was happening. And so I remember my first treatment. This is this is kind of a funny story, but maybe TMI, but we're talking about it, so I'm just going to go with it. It's just a funny story that I look back at and I laugh now. But basically, when I first got there, they said, before we start any treatment, we need to cleanse you. We need to get rid of the toxins in your body. We need to detox you. And so they gave me this drinking ghee, and it's not good. I know a lot of people eat butter. We cook with butter, but this is not the ghee that you would be voluntarily eating just like that or drinking just like that. It's so heavy, it's warm, it's super thick, and it's disgusting. And I have a really big gag reflex, so that doesn't help the situation either. So they gave me all these concoctions, and it was to literally get everything out, literally shit everything out. And I remember being like, oh my gosh. And I had an idea because a friend of mine at the time had also gone to India to do some sort of holistic retreat or something. And so she was telling me that you're basically shitting everything out. And by the end of it, you're shitting water. And I think this story is so funny. And I know a lot of people might get grossed out. I used to be grossed out about it, but I don't think it is because I understand the connection between the detoxing our body and cleansing it out before we can introduce other modalities. I understand that. And that's why I'm sharing that. And I mean, we're human. We all go through it, right? But I remember my friends saying that. I remember laughing. It's my first time there and I'm doing all this stuff and they're giving me this concoction to release everything. I remember being in the bathroom like the whole day. And I knew that because they had told you that too. And it was not fun, obviously, as you can imagine. But by the end of it, I was like, this actually is working. I'm cleansing everything out of my body, everything that's probably been causing a lot of symptoms and just not making me feel good, even though we may not know it, but it definitely plays a factor. So that was really funny. And I remember after that day, I felt so much lighter, obviously, but just I felt more clear, like I really did. And so that was a little bit of a side story, but it felt good to know that everything's coming out of you and you're cleansing it. I actually have notes this time just to walk you through what they did. Every treatment was a bit different, but this last time I went last year for my third treatment, I actually blogged my journey through while I was at the hospital. And so you can definitely check out my blog to read it and even to look at images of what the treatment looked like. If I can figure out how to insert those images into this episode, I will to put on YouTube, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to figure it out. If you go to sarajaswal.com, which is my website, you can actually read the full blog and get more insight on what my treatment was and what I did and my whole experience. I really dove deep into it. I want to just share something that happened during my first time. And this is why I'm such a big advocate for the alternative treatment and holistic health and just the mental health, emotional health, the spiritual health, everything, because it broke me open when I was there. I got to the hospital on February 18, 2019. My parents stayed with me for a few days and then they left to go back to north of India because that's where our house is. And then I stayed there for the rest of the time on my own. And February 23rd, I remember so vividly. So they're giving me treatment, right? All these drops, some medication, they put drops in your eyes or they put some paste over your eyes and then they blindfold you and they want to soak into your eyes. So they then make you sit there for an hour blindfolded and then they leave and then they'll come back to take the Band-Aid off. So I remember this. It was February 23rd at 3 p.m. And I was sitting there. I remember sitting on the couch, legs crossed, and I think I might have some music playing in the background, but I was just so full of love and gratitude and just really a lot of praise for my support system, for my family, for my friends, for this experience being at the hospital, for the people I had met within that first week that had really supported me and I still talk to this day. They were there at the hospital with me and just a lot of encouragement, a lot of positivity, a lot of just like very heart-centered conversation. And I felt so alone up until that point. No one understood it because they didn't have vision loss. You can't understand it. You can't understand something fully unless you've gone through something similar. And even then, everyone's experience is going to be different. But to know that all these people are also here for vision loss, they also understand, fuck, I can't see, or it's blurry, or the emotional toll that having sight loss puts on you. And the limitations are there reminding us every day. So when I went there and to be able to see everyone, different races, cultures, religions, so many people worldwide go to this hospital. And so I was just so high on gratitude and love. I was like, wow. And I remember sitting there, my eyes are obviously closed, and I'm feeling this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. My friends, my family, they all go to heaven on earth just to support me. And I was feeling that. I can feel it in my body. It was just so visceral. All of a sudden, I had this spiritual awakening. I remember just sitting there and I can visualize, I could see my body, but it was like I could see through it. It wasn't my body, it was my soul. And I know this is going to sound really weird to a lot of people, but when you've gone through something like that, you cannot deny it. And again, just to backtrack, I was very skeptical. I didn't believe in any of this. I didn't think like that. I was not even tapped into my spirituality at that time or God, the universe, or anything. But this whole journey started to bring that out of me. And I had the time to be present with myself. And I started to really realize that there's something more. There's more to life than what we think there is. And I remember sitting there and I can see my soul. I can see that clearly. And I can just see light illuminating all throughout my body. I can see my heart. I can see it beating. And I can just see light just growing all around me, within, around my heart. I can see just from top to bottom. And in that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, something just happened inside. And that was the moment that I said, there is something more. Whether that's a God, whether that's a physical God, I don't know. I'm not even still sure. I still wonder and I'm curious and I don't think we'll ever know. Or is it just an extension of myself, my higher self, our higher selves? I do believe we all have it. There's something in the universe that's guiding us and we're not alone. This experience felt so real. And it also really validated that these are just bodies. These are temporary. There's a soul here. And that's why I really believe in the afterlife and what happens when we die. I love that conversation. I love the philosophical, thought-provoking conversations and questions. And I really do believe that when someone dies, their soul is still around. It's just that body is no longer here. And you can feel that. You know, I've lost a few people, my grandmas, and I felt that. You can still feel their presence. And so in that moment, that's what had happened to me. And that was my true spiritual awakening where I was like, there is something more. I'm not alone. There is another guiding force, a force that's guiding me, protecting me, holding me, and supporting me. And I am not alone. That whole experience was so profound. I remember it vividly. And that was my first time there. And it's not woo-woo, it's not weird, it's not witchy. They were not giving me anything. It wasn't a cult. It wasn't anything that they were telling me. They actually weren't saying anything around that. They were basically just providing me medical information, but they were talking about just the Ayurvedic practices, talking about meditation, talking about yoga, talking about slowing down, talking about how releasing the anxiety and how that is causing and perpetuating my suffering and how it is playing a factor into my condition. And I believe that. I do believe that what we think, what we believe, what we say to ourselves constantly is what manifests. And it manifests either mentally, emotionally, or physically in our body. The chronic illnesses, all the diseases, the cancer, the autoimmune, like what have you. I do believe there's a big part of that is just from that. And so in that moment, something just broke open and I have never been the same. I've never looked back. Just thinking about that too, that really changed everything. Just the trajectory of my whole life. And again, this is my story. This is my real life experience. I'm not making any of it up because I know I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash. And I know a lot of people don't believe in alternative treatment and holistic health, but I'm telling you, it's real. It happened. It saved me not only on a physical level, but on a mental, emotional level. And so there's a lot of power in that. Written down the medication of what that looked like for me for going through vision loss and being at an Ayurvedic eye hospital. There's a lot of things that I probably won't even touch on because I don't remember them all, but I remember that first trip that I did. There were so many things of what to eat, how to eat it, what not to eat, what foods not to mix with one another. And then, of course, the mental, emotional, what you watch, what you listen to, what you read, who you interact with, that all plays a factor in our health, mind, body, spirit. Even their food, like, for example, they have a dining hall where the villas were, where all the food was being cooked. They cook everything fresh. They do not believe in or practice reheating the food. Everything's fresh. Even if it's the same item, like the same dish, they won't reheat it. They will make it fresh. So it was basically the repetitive food because they're making the same thing every few days on repeat. They don't cook down their vegetables or anything. They barely use any seasoning in their food. It's just very clean, all vegetarian, no meat. It was a bit different because I'm not used to South Indian food and I don't prefer it. And I personally don't like it, but you get used to it. And there are some dishes that I did really enjoy. And you weren't allowed to eat much else. You are basically on a strict regimen of this diet and you want to be following it as much as you possibly can. It's hard for sure because 3 meals every day for 3 weeks and they're all repetitive, they're all the same, and they're not all great. But you're like, well, I have to eat. A couple other things that I can just mention that might be helpful to know is what they practice. And I do believe I followed them. I've a little bit fell off of them, but when I was first in it, I was very strict with my diet, very regimented in what I had learned. And it made sense to me. And I was like, okay, this is going to help me. But also, yeah, that makes sense. Not to be drinking cold water. Apparently, it's like a big no-no that we should be drinking room temperature water. I used to fill my water with ice all the time. And I remember my mom used to say, you shouldn't be doing that. But I was like, no, it's not a big deal. And I don't know if she knew why, but I think she heard it from somewhere. And then when I went to India and they were saying you shouldn't, something about the temperature of we shouldn't be drinking too cold because then our body is a different temperature and then somehow that conflicts with one another. I don't know, but I have definitely implemented that. The only time I drink ice drinks is in the summer, basically, not to reheat your food. So they don't believe in, I guess, microwaves. And I had learned that too because I knew someone, a friend of mine, who also had been talking about that. And then I went to around that same time and it made sense to me because, and even not the microwave. Well, first of all, yeah, because it's so toxic and it just kills all the nutrients in our food and the radiation, like that makes sense to me. And then, but also even a stove would be better. So even now I do reheat food once in a while, but I try to use the stove as much as possible versus using the microwave. But it's because we kill the nutrients. And after a day or 2 days, the nutrients that are originally in the food that we're eating are gone. And there's no value of that food to us. And so I thought that was very interesting. And so I actually, at that time, I got rid of my microwave. I think it broke when I was living at my parents' house. So I didn't use it for so long. Now I do here and there, but I really try to limit it. It is convenient, but I also am trying to be very mindful of the toxins and just the radiation that I'm putting into my body. That was another thing that they really firmly believe in not eating certain fruit with other fruit or not eating certain fruit at all because of the acidity. We were told you shouldn't really be drinking water or drinking anything at all while you're eating. Usually you should be waiting half an hour before, half an hour after, I think. I don't know how strict that was because they did have this detoxing tea that they had on the tables every time we went to the dining hall. But overall, that was another practice that they follow. And so that and so many things. And I was just like, wow, like even mushrooms, for example, like that one pops up because I was eating mushrooms all the time. But for some reason, they say to limit that. I don't know if it's because of the fungi or what it is, but not to overeat certain foods. So there are just so many, like, not rules. I don't know if rules is the right word, but just so many different things that they were teaching us. And even when we went home, we had a dietitian that would come in and she would talk to us about eating really clean. So the medicine, I'm going to walk you through what my days look like from beginning to end. So the day started at 6 a.m., sometimes 5:30 a.m., depending on what treatments they were doing. And so more or less throughout the 3 times that I've gone, the treatment has been relatively the same with some modification and some changes, but more or less I had a similar day-to-day plan. 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning, you're up. It's so nice. The birds are chirping. You're waking up to that. It's already brought like daylight basically once you're up. And so I just loved that. And it wasn't that hard to really get up. There were some days where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so early, especially when I had 5:30 starts. But otherwise, it was just so nourishing. Honestly, it's like an eat, pray, love. That's what this felt like. It was my own version of eat, pray, love journey. And I remember laughing because my sister-in-law and one of my cousins thought that's where I was going. They thought I was at an eat, pray, love journey when I first went. I didn't really think of it like that. When I came back, you know what? It was that. It was very much, if you watch that movie and you know what I'm talking about, very much like that experience. It was so cool, but in its own way, very different, but like in its own way. It changed the trajectory of my life and I'm obsessed and I'm so grateful and all the things. So 5:30, 6 o'clock, they give you this drink. It's called kashayam and it's a really bitter tasting drink. I think it's for detoxing and cleansing and just getting things moving just in your body and just nourishing it. And then I used to, right after that medication, I would go for a walk. I actually implemented an itinerary for my day to day because what else am I going to do? The days sometimes take really long. They feel very long. Sometimes you're just like, what am I going to do with myself? There's no TV. You're not where you can't work out. You actually can't do any of that. They don't want you watching anything. They obviously, because they don't want you to put any pressure or strain on your eyes with all this medication that they're giving you. And some of the medication does make your eyes blurry for a little bit. And then also, you're not allowed to work out. I remember the first time I went, I took like a skipping rope. I'm going to work out there. And I went there. They're like, no, 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 you can't work out. You need to rest. You need to do nothing, basically. And for me, I'm like, what do you mean? Because I'm so used to go, 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 being overproductive. But that's, I think, why I had even that spiritual awakening. And I really found myself during those, all the times I've gone, is because you're slowing down. You're not running from your thoughts. You're not running from your feelings. You're not running from your emotions. You're not running from whatever it is that you're running from. You actually have to face it head on. And I think that's so beautiful. And it's hard. It's fucking hard. So hard. 3 weeks of that, it's so hard, but it is so rewarding on the other end of it. And there's a lot of journaling that happens through that, a lot of processing, a lot of reflecting, a lot of introspection, and a lot of what is life? What am I doing? What's my purpose? Where am I? Just so many things. It brings up a lot of trauma. It brings up a lot of past experiences. It brings up so much grief in so many ways. Obviously, loss of your vision for one, but then all the other grief that comes along with it. And so it really brings it to the forefront. I really think people should do retreats like this, whatever situation you're in. That has nothing to do with vision loss or chronic health, anything, because that's how we really face ourselves. And we really, all the stuff that's pent up in our body, all the energy, the trauma, the grief, just the stagnancy, it comes to the surface and it helps us to release it. And that's how we heal. And I'm a true testament to that. And I can vouch for that. And just from where I was and where I am. And so that is one of the biggest things too. And so I would go for a walk. It's beautiful there. The land there is amazing. And so you can see the sunrises and the sunsets and the tropical trees. So cool. I'd go for my morning walk. I'd love it. Either I'd plug in a podcast. So I downloaded a lot of podcasts, music, and I had done that because I also chose to be offline because I knew I needed to get away from all the external noise. And so I went off social media. The only people I was connecting with were my parents and my siblings. Other than that, I did not talk to anyone. There were set times for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 7:30 a.m. was breakfast in the dining hall. And I loved that because everyone that's in the villa who is staying in that area is going to eat at the same time as you. So that was really nice because you start talking to people, you start connecting, you start engaging in conversation, and it was almost like a little community. And so that was great. And I definitely ate probably the same thing every day. And then 8:30 a.m., I was getting a medicated eye wash. So basically, your eyes are closed and they pour medicated water on the eye several times in each eye. And they just let it sit and it drips down and then they clean it. And so they do that a couple of times. Again, everything's natural, everything's non synthetic, everything's derived from plants and herbs and oils and all of that. And that was called Netrodara. And I just saw the names were cool too. And I at first could not say them, but now that I've gone a couple of times, I've become more aware of them. That didn't hurt at all. It didn't sting. It was just water. It was a bit uncomfortable having water put in your eye, but it was fast. And then they also give you burning and cooling eye drops in both eyes. The burning ones definitely sting, but it's a couple of seconds and then you're usually okay. What else they use is an eye massage using medicated oil. There's a lot of oil that's used in Ayurvedic treatment, like so much so that you're just seeping in oil. But it's very nourishing. It vitalizes you, it nourishes your cells, it regenerates the nerves and the cells in your body. And one thing to note too about Ayurvedic treatment is that the focus isn't just your eyes, it's mind, body, spirit. So it's helping on so many different levels. And so that was something that I learned because, again, I went into it going, okay, you're going to fix my vision, but why are you doing all these other things? And now I get it because all of that helps with the depression and the anxiety because, again, when one thing's off balance, the rest of your body and mental state will be off balance as well. Then they did a neck massage using medicated oil because anything above the neck has to do with your eyes. All the cells and all the tissues and connections go from your neck up. So that also impact your vision. And so they did a neck massage using medicated oil. And then 9 a.m. is usually when the doctors come around. So you're in your room. It's so hot that you're actually not supposed to be outside. You can't. It's so unbearable. Besides, early in the morning, that's why I chose to do my walks at that time because it got me out. You can go outside, but they don't recommend it. And you don't want to be because it's so hot. So 9 a.m., the doctors come in. They do their rounds, and most of them, they speak English for sure. There is a little bit of a language barrier with some of the nurses and maybe some of the staff, but you can get by. They speak a different language, and I don't know what it is, but the doctor spoke English and go over what they're doing and what's happening. And then 10 o'clock was a medicated cloth wrapped around your head, and then that same medicated paste put on the top of your head. So it was a cloth that was wrapped in medicated paste, and then they would also put that same medicated paste, like literally just plop it on here. It was thick. They would like massage in here. And then they take that cloth with that same paste and then they wrap it around you. And then so you're covered from like here to here. So on your head, there's literally like a block like this. And then the cloth goes around and they leave it to soak in for 1 hour. You can't wash your hair for the duration of this treatment. So for me, that specific treatment was 5 days. So after they let it soak for 1 hour, they come back and they take that blob of whatever, that paste off, but it's sticky, it's gooey, right? So it's on your hair, but they take as much as they can off and they take the wrap off and then that's it. The whole point is to let it sit in your hair and to nourish everything from up top. And so I couldn't wash my hair for 5 days. I'm combing it, it's sticky. And I knew that by the third time, I kind of got used to it, but it's gross. You want to be able to wash your hair and have a full shower, but you couldn't. And that's just the way it was. You get used to it, but it's not fun. So once they had discontinued that medication, they're giving me medicated ghee, which is again clarified butter. So this was a drinking form of it. I had to drink it internally. And let me tell you, it's not just like having butter. It's so gross. I have a really big gag reflex. So I'm just literally having to gulp it down. And luckily, I was allowed to have some water after it, but it's so gross. It's one of the top medicines that has helped heal the inflammation in my eyes. They're giving you tablets. So a lot of PO meds. 11 o'clock. This is one of my favorite treatments. I've come to really love it. It's called Shirodara. And I love it so much. So it's basically warm, hot medicated oil plus ghee, like a lot of it. So they mix that concoction together and they pour it over your forehead and massage it into your hair for 45 minutes. So all these other treatments that I've talked to you about, they happen on the couch. You're just laying on the couch and they're just doing whatever. They don't require much. But the Shirodara actually happens in the treatment room. There's a concoction that they have as a treatment bed. So you're laying on the bed And then you have this concoction on top of you where the oil is, and the oil is spilling, coming out. And that's how they're massaging it. And you have the nurse behind you, and she's just massaging that oil. So you're laying down like that. The oil is getting poured here and all in here. They're just massaging it for 45 minutes. They would do that. And that was done for 7 days. This felt very relaxing and calming. Like sometimes I fell asleep while they were doing it. It really helps with mental health. That's one that helps with depression and anxiety. And I felt that. I noticed it after doing it so many times. I started to notice that my thoughts were different. I felt different. I felt lighter. I didn't feel so heavy and dark in my emotions and feelings as I did. And I mean, I was doing so much other work. I tapped into all these podcasts that were very healing and nurturing and inspiring. And so I was doing a lot of work on my own journaling and sitting with myself, crying, allowing the emotions to come through and really reflecting. But that treatment for sure helps with that. And so I love it so much. It is one of my favorite therapies, minus the fact that you can't wash your hair. I couldn't wash my hair for the other medication for 5 days. That one stops. You're like, okay, I can take a full shower. I can wash my hair. You do that. And then they start this Shirodara, and you can't wash it for the duration. So this was 7 days. But when I first did it, it was 9 days. You guys, I couldn't wash my hair for 9 days. It was steeping in oil. You can imagine that oil is accumulating day after day after day. It's not dripping, but your hair looks like you just literally dunked it in a tub of oil, which you actually really did. It just felt so good. I actually have pictures. Again, I'll try to insert them in here if I can figure it out. If not, honestly, go to my website and go to my blog at sarajaswal.com, and you can read and watch or look at all the pictures. A funny side note is that you actually aren't required to cover your head or anything. There's one treatment that's called Tharpanam, and you have to cover your head for that for, I don't know what the reason is, but I used to, and even at the temples, they have 2 temples here, very therapeutic, and you just walk into them and I don't know, it's just so therapeutic and healing. But I used to go there every morning, every evening. That was my thing. And I never used to be like that, but going there really helped me. So I would just walk and then I'd go in and I'd pray. I did a lot of praying, a lot of talking and connecting to God, to the universe. It was life-changing. I'm here because of those experiences. And that just brings so much warmth to my heart and so much love. And just, I feel so abundant when I think about that experience. But yeah, you don't have to cover your head, but I would always have my head covered. And only reason was to protect me, but also to protect others from all the external oil filled in my hair. 12:30 is lunch. You're going back into the dining hall. It's a set time and you're connecting with everyone else and you're eating. In the afternoon, they do the repeat of eye drops, the eye wash again. 4 p.m., they give you the ghee and then tablets. And then 6 p.m., they're giving you that kashayam, which is that drinking drink they give you in the first thing in the morning. That's where it winds down. After 6 p.m., there's no other medication. And that's when I usually went for my evening walk. I would go to the temple. And so dinner is at 7 p.m. And then by 8 p.m., I'm winding down and getting ready for bed. I loved that. I just loved that routine. It was really nice. One of the treatments I did want to talk about was the Tharpanam. And so basically they do this at the very end. Once you've done all your other treatments, they do it the last 5 or 7 days, depending on what your treatment is. And basically you're laying down and this time they're putting hot medicated ghee directly into your eye. So they use this kind of flour to mold something here, basically to cover your like eyes here. It's a mold. So all you can see is your eyes. So you're laying back and then they're putting hot medicated ghee directly into your eye. And then they do that twice. So they let it sit there and then they do it again. And the whole purpose of that is they want the ghee to hit your retina directly because that's what's healing the retina and nourishing all the cells and regenerating everything in that area. It's one of the bigger treatments that they use to heal people's vision. Then they clean it a little bit and then let it sit there. They have these flowers they use that somehow have some sort of healing properties or something in them. And so then they put flowers on your eye and then they take a cloth and they wrap it around your face. And they let that sit there for an hour. It's uncomfortable. It stings. Hot medicated ghee getting put into your eye. And then you sit there for an hour, you lay there, and then they take that off. But after that treatment, your eyes are usually blurry. You can't see so well. The first couple of times I did it, I was like, oh my gosh, eventually I got used to it. But that really helped heal aspects of my vision and helped reduce the inflammation, along with all the other medication that they were giving me. So, yeah, that's what my treatment has looked like and what has brought me, again, here with you today, what has healed me mentally, emotionally, physically. And there's so many other things that I probably didn't even touch on, but that's an idea of what it was like. Paste, creams, oils, massages, the food you're eating, just all of it. It really is what helped me. And people go there for all different types of conditions. And if you have an eye condition, not just the condition that I have, not just for gyrate atrophy, people go there for glaucoma, people go there for preventative measures. There's people there that don't even have any big eye condition, but go there for preventative measures. It honestly felt like a retreat. It felt very, just very wholesome. And to be honest, I've asked them this last time I went if I will ever be able to regain my full sight back. And they're honest, they're very transparent, and it's not like they're luring you in, they're not trying to make money off of you. It's none of that. And they said, likely what I've lost, I probably won't get back because it's been so long. But what they're trying to do is to nourish my cells, regenerate them, and just bring more life to them, and hoping to just really slow the progression. My condition is still impacting my vision. It's still progressing, but in a much slower rate, which is, I guess, all I can ask for at this point. And so that's really hard to hear, but I keep going back because it's not just about my vision. It really resets my nervous system in so many different ways. There's also a treatment called Abhyanga. I just realized that a lot of the treatments on here I didn't even talk about, but there's a treatment called Abhyanga. It's a full body massage. You're fully naked. And this is another funny story. So when I went the first time they did this treatment, they tell you to get unclothed and they have like this one small thing covering the bottom part of you. And I was just so uncomfortable. I'm naked. There's two ladies doing this massage. Again, they're using oil. And I was so weirded out and I was so uncomfortable. I was so tense. I was so tight. Oh my gosh. I just felt awkward. And they were noticing that and they kept saying, relax, relax. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I laughed. It was so awkward and so weird. You're dripping with oil. And it was just so funny. And so the third time I went, I now had a better idea. And now I actually was looking forward to it because that also really helps with the mental health, the depression, the anxiety. It really helps to reset the nervous system. And again, I don't know all the science and all the ins and outs of how this all works. I just know that it makes sense to me when they explain it. It's very nourishing. So this last time, I think they did it for 7 or 9 days at the end of my treatment. And I loved it. And I wasn't that uncomfortable. I was like, you know what? It is what it is, whatever. And I felt so much better after it. I loved it. It was so nourishing as well. From head to toe, they're massaging oil, and there's two of them. So there's something about doing it in synchronicity. They have a rhythm and technique for sure. And so I thought that was really cool. Honestly, all these things that they're doing have really helped me. And so I really encourage, if you have some sort of visual deficit or vision condition, vision loss of any sorts, whatever that may be, I would encourage reaching out to them or even looking into it. It is a big commitment. You have to be there for quite a bit of time. It's all the way in India, in the south of India. There's a lot that goes into it, but honestly, your health is worth it, right? It's important. I've had many people reach out to me and ask me about the hospital. And I've actually had a couple of people, family friends of ours, that have gone. And I think what you put into it is what the experience you're going to get back. We had two different people that I know went, and one of them had a really great experience. It was hard, but she really enjoyed it and she noticed some difference, maybe not fully, but some, which is enough on its own and worth it at that point already. And then there was someone else we know that went and they had a really bad experience. But the person who put a lot into it and went in it with the mindset of positivity, I'm just going to do this, and leading into it and giving it your all, had a way better experience than the person who didn't put much into it. And I'm not saying that in a bad way or any negative connotation, but you get what you put into something, right? And so it takes a lot. You really have to train your brain and train your mind and really lean into it. And that's not just with going to India to the hospital, but in general. It's worth it, I think, in my opinion. If Western medicine has no answers and they're just going to keep on telling you to get more surgeries and it's going to ruin your eye even more. I know that's happened. I hear that a lot with the work that I do with people who have vision loss, have said that, oh, we've gotten surgery upon surgery and now my eyes are worse than they were before surgery. This is real life people who have been failed by the medical system, but also who don't know about alternative treatment or holistic health. And I recognize it's not easy for everyone to lean into that or maybe travel that far. I get that. I understand that. But our health is important. Your health is important. And it's just, where do we put our priorities, right? Just like even reliving that with you all now, it just brings back so many memories. And not that I miss it. I don't know if I miss it because, again, it's a big commitment. And it takes me usually a long time to finally get myself around to say, okay, let's go and let's book a flight. But it's really helped me in so many ways. And I'm really grateful for it. It's Shri Dariam Ayurvedic Eye Hospital. One of my biggest things and why I'm even sharing this too is I really wish Western medicine and Eastern medicine, alternative treatment and holistic health can really come together. I hope that one day happens. And again, maybe it is happening on some level and with some practitioners and specialists, but not for me. I've been 13 years into my diagnosis and dealing with specialists, and none of them believe it. I've been now 7 years since I started my whole journey with alternative treatment and holistic health, my whole eat, pray, love journey, if you will. And they do not believe it for a second. I got so much backlash. Something my retina specialist said that still sticks with me till this day, that really fucking pisses me off, that he said this. And again, I wish I had a voice back then. He said this early on. So we went in 2019. He must have said it that year or maybe in 2020. He said something along the lines. It was me and my dad. My dad's the one that always takes me to my appointments. And so we're sitting in the office or whatever. He checks my vision. And I told him I'm going to India and this and that. I'm noticing some differences and it's really helped me. Even if it's not helping me physically, it's helping me mentally, emotionally. At least one aspect of my life is bettering, right? Even though my vision isn't fully bettering, but which it is because the inflammation is completely gone. Had the inflammation not be gone, I'd have a really hard time even talking to you right now through here because my vision would be very blurry and I wouldn't be able to read things on my screen because that's what was happening up until that point. But they don't believe it. They just won't recognize it. They're not giving me anything. They're not doing anything to me. So it's like, how did that happen magically? They have no rhyme or reason or justification of how that's happening. And I've questioned it and I've gotten backlash from it or like just been shut down and dismissed. And I hate that so much because why can't you recognize that and be like, wow, that really helped you? Or like, we're noticing that your inflammation is completely gone. Maybe that can help our other patients. Like, what the fuck, right? You would think they'd be more invested and more interested, but because it's not science, they blow it off. And oh my God, it makes me so angry, you guys. How many more people could they save? Cutting into them and doing all these surgeries, giving them all these steroids, giving them all this shit that is actually making it worse. What if you took a different approach and combined your methods with Eastern medicine and actually take a look and listen to your patients that are telling you, that are living proof that things have changed and things are better, clearly. So it just, oh, it makes me so mad. It grinds my gears, actually. And I hate going to the doctor. I hate going to the specialist. I only go because I have to. Otherwise, I wouldn't go. I hate it so much because no empathy, there's no compassion. Like, why the fuck are you a doctor if you have no empathy or compassion? Like, I'm sorry, but that's not okay. And you're in the wrong fucking field because these people are going through hell and back. Not just me, everyone. And not just with vision loss, any condition that people get dismissed. Doctors are not heroes. They're not gurus. They're not gods. And we put them on pedestals because that's just what we've been programmed to do. But I'm sorry, they're not. I'm my own guru. I'm my own God. I'm my own healer. Like, proof, literally, everything I've talked about, everything I've done in my life in the last 7 years, the doctors didn't do that for me. I did that. I advocated for myself. It took them 7 years to refer me to CNIB. Why the hell would it take someone 7 years, a doctor 7 years, to refer someone to an organization that is all about supporting people with vision loss? How does that make any sense? Our system is broken. The doctors don't give a shit. You're in and out in literally 5 minutes. You wait, first of all, 2.5 hours in the waiting room. Yeah, they have to put drops in you, but you're still waiting. And then you go in and you're literally in and out in 5 minutes. How does that make any sense? It's so dismissive. I could rant about this and I want to because I want to shed light on it. And again, I'm not shitting on all doctors because I'm sure there are some good ones out there. I've yet to come to see one. And my 13 years, I have not. I've realized I don't need their validation because I know my heart, my vision. Like I'm telling you, what I used to see and what I see now is very different. I used to think I needed them to say that, and I don't because I am my own validation because I'm living proof of it. But it'd be nice if they acknowledge that because honestly, they could help so many people. I've heard so many horror stories and it just breaks my heart. It breaks my heart for people who have been failed by the system. And one thing I do want to share about my specialist and what he said something along the lines of, don't go to some guru in India and think he's going to heal your vision. If there was a cure, we'd all know about it. Don't waste your money. That's what my said to me and my dad. And I remember sitting in the patient chair and everything inside me was like, what the fuck? What did you just say? But I didn't have the courage to say something out loud. Like, did you just say that? First, I thought it was a little bit uncalled for and not appropriate on so many different levels. Like, don't go and believe in some guru in India. Don't waste your money. First of all, money's not an issue. And if it's my health, I'll go to the end of the earth for it. And second of all, it's none of your business where we spend our money. Second of all, it has worked and I have invested in it and it has healed aspects of my vision and healed me mentally, emotionally. So, like, what are you even talking about? And I didn't say anything because, again, I didn't have a voice at that time. And I would have obviously said it in a respectful way, but I didn't. And if something like that were to happen now, I definitely would challenge that and I would say something. This has been the hardest. These 13 years, but especially these last 7 years, has been so hard on so many different levels. But you have to do it. What other choice do you have? You either stay stagnant and you stay stuck, you let yourself deteriorate mentally, physically, emotionally. But that's not enough for me. That's not good enough. I know there's more. I know I can do it. And I think a lot of people, a lot of us do give up and we think there's no help or support for us, but there is. It's hard. It's not going to be easy. Confronting your emotions and your feelings and your thoughts after 30 something years because you've never been able to do that before. You never felt safe to do that. You never had someone who would hold the space for you to be able to talk and share about your deepest, darkest things. Like, I get it. But when you know better, you do better. And it's one step at a time, one step at a time. And it feels scary. It feels daunting. It feels overwhelming. I get it. I really empathize with you. I feel you. I see you. I hear you. I am right there with you. I am not above anything. We're all on our own paths. We're all on our own journeys, but we're all figuring it out. We all have stuff. I'm just like you. I am also in the trenches a lot of times, even now. There's no such thing as being fully healed. If anyone tells you that, they're full of shit and don't believe them because you're never fully healed. We're always learning. We're always growing. We're always evolving. That's the whole point of life. And life is going to test us. It's going to send us all these different experiences and challenges and roadblocks because it's meant to. Imagine life if you knew exactly everything that was happening step by step. You knew exactly how your life was going to play out from beginning to end. What fun is that? And I definitely will admit, I fall into that. I'm so scared of the unknown. I have so much fear around the unknown. I have so much anxiety. There's parts of me that was like, I want to know everything. Tell me exactly who I'm going to meet, what am I going to do, what my life is going to look like. And then there's other times where I pull back and I'm like, actually, I don't want to know how my life's going to fully play out completely. There's no fun in that. What's the point? All this to say, this is a lot of work. It takes a lot, but it's worth it. It's really worth it. I had someone just share with me the other day, watch my podcast and said something along the lines of just listening to your story. It puts perspective for my own life that everyone's going through something. And it's true. And that's just like that really warm and fill my heart. And I feel for everyone, but it just validates that these conversations are important. They're important to have. It's important to know that everyone struggles. There's different seasons of each of our lives where things are really bad and things are really good. Things might just be mediocre and you feel neutral. We all go through it. Remember, I shared in my first episode when I first started sharing my story boldly, rawly, if rawly is a word, bold, raw, authentic, vulnerable, just my heart speaking to the world, to you. If I can just have one person. And I remember I got flooded with messages saying, thank you. Oh my gosh, I'm going through the same thing. Or thank you for putting words to what I couldn't put words to. And then now, even just with my first episode, having people share, it puts perspective onto our life. We're not alone. We're not the only ones. We're not. We're all in this together. Whether people want to believe it or not, social media is the worst thing. So please don't compare yourself to that. People are posting highlight reels and they're not going to show you every single detail of their life, of the depth of it, right? And so just really want to bring this conversation to light. And even just the whole holistic health and alternative treatment, it just gets such a bad rap. I remember, I don't know the full story because it's been a while and I didn't read into it fully, but so many people had sent me an article of there's a hockey player, and I don't know his name or where he played, but it was a hockey player that went and did alternative treatment and he shared his story. And he got so much backlash. And in the comments, people were just talking shit and saying the worst comments and not believing how he healed and overcame what he was trying to do. And it was like, why is this happening? Wouldn't you be excited and want to know more? I don't get it. I really don't get it. And I don't understand it. And it's so infuriating because all the people that are advocating for it are people who have gone through their own lived experience. This isn't just coming out of thin air. I didn't just wake up one day and say, oh, yeah, this works and this is what's happening. And there's no way you can make it up. There's no way. So people who are advocating and do this work and talk about alternative treatment and holistic health and natural ways to heal our bodies and to support our bodies, there's a reason for it. I really encourage you, if you have judgment around this, if you have all this criticism and all this negative connotation around it, I want you to do one thing. I want you to ask the people who are advocating for it and speaking to it, ask them what their story is. Ask them what brought them here. Why do they believe in alternative treatment and holistic health? What is it that really allowed them to believe in the power of being able to heal ourselves, to heal our bodies, to heal our mind? Ask. Get curious, right? Get curious. Curiosity over judgment, always, 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 always. And I bet you they have a story to share. They have a story to tell of why they are where they are right now and why they're so passionate about this conversation and advocating for it, because the world would be a lot more healthier, happier, and whole if people started to listen and started to take their life into their own hands and not put it in the hands of anyone else. I want to leave you with some practical tools and practices that you can use in your own life to help you just 1%. Even if you do one little thing a day and you build upon that, habit stacking, I'm sure you've heard that. That's how change happens. And so this is not everything, but this is a start. And I'm sure you've heard it a million times over because it's everywhere and everyone talks about it all over social media, wherever you go. But my question to you is, are you actually implementing these things into your life? Or are you just consuming yourself, watching other people talk about it, shaking your head or turning the other way or saying, I know I'm going to do that, and then have never gotten to it, have never taken action? You can consume all the information you want. You can feel inspired and you can feel empowered and you can be like, yes, I'm doing this. This makes sense. I'm changing my life. But if you do not take action, you've already failed. You've already failed yourself there, because action is where the change happens. It's not just by talking or by listening. We have to take action, guys. We have to take the steps in order to build those habits and to move forward. We can't just think about it and see it and hear it and then forget about it and say one day, oh, tomorrow, next week, or the week after. We all are like that. I was like that. And I still go through seasons like that. Like right now, I will be fully transparent. I'm not in a journaling season. I haven't been in a couple of months, probably since my birthday at the end of May. And I'm okay with that though, because there's other things that I'm doing, other practices and modalities in my life. And I recognize when I'm not okay or when I need support. But there are seasons where you fall off, right? And that's okay too. But you have to start somewhere. So that's my question to you, because you're probably going to listen to most of these and say, I already know that. That's nothing new. What are you saying? That's not helpful. It is helpful, because unless you're taking action, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to happen. Okay? So, sleep. Yes, we all heard it, but we need to have proper sleep, and everyone's going to be different. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm encouraging you and providing some helpful tips and tools for you, because I know everyone needs different sleep schedules. I know there's so much information out there, and I want to recognize that too. I blocked out all the noise. Right now, I've removed myself from so much information. We're overloaded with information. It is insane. And so do what feels right for you. You can listen to people who, that you feel empowered or inspired by, or who are teaching you and educating you, but do use your own discernment, because what's working for someone else is not necessarily going to work for you. We are all unique individuals with unique makeups, unique bodies, unique everything. So what works for someone else may not work for you, but find what works for you. That's what I want to encourage you, is you really need to find what works for you and make it a habit and build upon that. If someone works out 7 days a week and eats all the fucking protein and you feel like you need to do that because that's what they're doing, that's not right, because that might not be right for you, for your body, for your mind, for your spirit. You need to do what's best for you and work with that. And again, really tuning inwards. This is what it comes down to, really slowing down in your life and not just being go, go, go. Because when you slow down is when you get to tune into your body and you really get to understand what's working and what's not. Is this food impacting my energy levels or is it not? You can't do that when you're on this hustle bustle and go, go, go. Or, oh, that person eats that all the time and says their energy is great, or they drink this electrolyte and their energy is top notch all the time. That must work for me. I think that's what we get caught up in a lot of times. And yeah, a lot of times those things probably can be helpful, but maybe they're not. Maybe you need a slight variation of that, or maybe you need a modification. And these are just examples I'm giving you, right? But it could be anything. I can tell you I journal every single day and it really helps me. But that's maybe not where you want to start. You also don't want to overdo it, because that's also going to impact your nervous system and you're going to start feeling dysregulated because that's too much for your body or for your system. But I've also been doing this for a long time. So when I say there's seasons of my life where I do intentionally journal a lot, that's because I've built myself up to that. And then also right now, I'm just not into the journaling right now. And I'm okay with that though. That's the thing. I'm okay with that. I don't feel guilty. I'm okay with it, because that's just a season of life that I'm personally in. And so you got to just do what feels right for you, but you have to start somewhere. So sleep, right? Get to bed on time. If you know you have to get up really early and you can't function without 8-9 hours of sleep, then make sure you're in bed early. Make sure you're off technology. Make sure you're off the screen. Make sure you've got everything sorted and ready to go. Time management is huge, and a lot of people don't have it. If you're one that's last minute or rushing around, you're late everywhere, or you're this and that, find better time management. Start scheduling it in. Right? So if you need to get to bed by 10 o'clock every night, that means you have stuff to do before. You want to read a book. You want to prep whatever food for the next day. calculate that into your time. How much time do you need before to do the things that you need to do in order to be in bed at 10? Write it down and don't just say it. That's again habit stacking. We can say things all day long, but until it's written down and it's in our schedule and it's in our plan, that's where change happens. I know it's easy to fall off. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to encourage you to start and to build a plan and build habits and stack upon them and to really commit yourself to them. Because when we say things that we're going to do and we don't commit to them, we fail ourselves. And then it inhibits us from keep going because you're like, well, whatever, what's the point now? Again, I'm not just preaching this. I've been there. I've done it. I get it. I really empathize with it. And I still go through it sometimes. But I'm better at catching myself and picking myself back up. And so, again, sleep, very important, right? If we're not rest and nourished and rejuvenated, how are we going to be of service to everyone else? Whether that be our families, our friends, our colleagues, our clients or patients or staff, like whoever you're working with. If we're not fully recharged, how are we going to be service to others? How are we going to show up in the world as our full selves? Right? So sleep is really important. Start your day early. This one I've learned along the ways. I wouldn't say I'm a morning person because I don't like getting up early in the morning. I do it and I prefer it versus wasting my whole day. But I wouldn't necessarily say that my alarm goes off and I'm like, woohoo, let's go. Let's start our day. I am not that person. I'm sure there are people out there like that. I am not. The alarm goes off and I'm like, fuck, are you kidding me? So I get it. However, I also know that I don't like wasting my days. You feel so much better, especially when not the whole world is awake. It just feels so good. So whatever that time looks like for you, instead of rushing out the door and getting up last minute to head out to where you have to go, wake up earlier. Start off more grounded. Start off with just slowness and presence rather than just having to rush out the door. Right? It makes a difference. Incorporate that into your sleep time, into your day-to-day. Movement. You've heard this time and time again. Movement moves all that energy, that stuck, stagnant energy that we have within ourselves, the emotions, the trauma, the feelings, the thoughts, the grief, like all of it. It's stored in our body. And so how do you get those out? You move your body. You shake up that energy, right? Whatever that movement looks like for you. And again, going back to what I was saying of just because it works for someone else, but maybe everyone's raving about Pilates and how good it is and how amazing it is and this and that. You don't have to do Pilates if it doesn't fit for you. Just because the whole world is saying they're doing Pilates, if it doesn't resonate with you, don't do it, right? So find something that fuels you. And it might not at the beginning, but you need to find something that works. So moving your body in any capacity, walking, I promise you, even a 10-minute walk will do wonders for your mental health, for your body. That's it, 10 minutes even. And then build upon that. Go walking, go running, go swimming, go bike riding, go lift weights. Go do yoga, go do hiking, go do whatever it is that helps you move your body and shifts that energy within you. I promise you, you will feel better. And the bonus of moving your body is it really unlocks so much creativity. To be honest, a lot of my creativity, like my podcast, anything I do, anything I've been building or just ideas that I have, a lot of it comes when I'm moving my body. I'll be walking, I'll be doing my weighted vest walk. And all this inspiration comes through and all this downloads of like, I could do this or I want to create that. It's amazing what happens when we allow ourselves to move our bodies and to really just shift that energy. Because that's what keeps us trapped and dormant. You know that dormant energy, that blah, like, feeling that we all have? Movement will help. There's actually a tracker that I have that I use. It's like a cognitive behavioral tracking tool. You can do it with many things. It's tracking how you feel before. So right now in this moment, how do you feel? Your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, what dialogue is happening? You write it all down. No judgment, just writing it down, just bringing awareness to how you're feeling. I am feeling tired. I'm feeling exhausted. I'm feeling sad. Rating that. Is that a 5 or is that maybe 0, 2, I'm feeling pretty good, or am I really heavy in it? I'm feeling like a 10. just writing it down. Again, just bringing awareness to it, allowing your body to feel and to just express what's happening and what you're feeling inside. And then go out and do your activity, whatever it is. And then come back and then track your tracking tool again and write exactly the same thing. How are you feeling now? What are your thoughts? What are your emotions? What are your feelings? What is the dialogue that's in your head? And then rate that again. You could feel much better. I feel relaxed. I feel calm. I'm so grateful I went for that walk. And then rate that. And it's not always going to be a big difference. You could still be neutral. You could say beforehand you felt sad and you were at about a 5, and then you go for your walk and then you come back and you might still be sad. You might still be at a 5, and that's okay. It's just the awareness that we're bringing to it and tracking that and doing that consistently for weeks on end and then seeing the difference. Because I'll bet you will definitely feel better. You will not feel the same by the end of that. Meditation. I know this can be such a buzzword, but it doesn't have to be, because I feel that meditation can be so many different things. I think when we think meditation, we think that it has to be we're completely tuning out all the noise and we're completely sitting in silence and we've mastered it from the beginning. I don't believe that's true, and I also believe there's different levels of meditation. I think we have a connotation of meditation being one way, but I don't believe that. I personally think that meditation, we can get lost in the noise of it all and we can feel like it has to be so rigid, but I don't think it has to be like that. Like listening to a guided meditation, I love Insight Timer app. If you are familiar with that, it's free. And there's so many guided meditations on there, different topics that you can do. And it's free. You can buy a paid version, but I don't think you need to. Listening to music, journaling, drawing, writing. What else? You're sitting in silence, praying, connecting in with God, with the universe. All of those are acts of meditation. It's anything we can do to bring us into our body and allows us to slow down, allows us to be present, allows us to connect with ourselves, to get out of all the noise and the hustle bustle around us. That's what meditation is. And so a lot of people don't start because they're afraid. I can't do that. I can't sit for 5 minutes. My thoughts are racing. Let me tell you, my thoughts still race. I'm no expert at it at all. I don't think it always does shut off, but it's really allowing ourselves to slow down, being present, allowing what's coming, what's up here, or even what's in your body. You'll see it. You'll feel it. You'll notice it. And just paying attention to it, recognizing it. Because again, when we live in a hustle bustle culture, you're going from A to B to C to D to E to wherever. You're go, go, go constantly. You're not giving your body or your mind space to process, to acknowledge. And all of that is being suppressed in our bodies. We don't give ourselves enough rest and time to be with ourselves. Maybe just play some music, some soft music, and just sit there. Maybe color while you're doing it, if that helps to start. The point is to just really slow down, bring awareness and attention to what's happening. Notice what's happening in your body. Our body will tell us what's happening, but we're just so on the run all the time that we don't actually pay attention to what that feels like. When I'm off, I can feel it. Like I feel like in my chest, I can just feel like more like this. There's so many signs, and your sign's going to be different. But I just know because I've been practicing slowing down and resting and being present these last 7 years. So when you think meditation, I really want you to not get scared and run away from it, because there's so many different variations of it. And the goal isn't to master it at all. I think that's so wrong. That's what sets us up for failure. We're here to just start and build upon that and build upon that and see what works. A lot of this might be trial and error, right? To see what actually works and what doesn't, what fulfills you, what doesn't, or what nourishes you, what helps you, what makes you feel more calm and less anxious. It's going to look different for everyone, right? But you need to really be able to tune into your body, into your mind. And how are you going to do that? You need to slow down. Breath work. Again, something available to us 24/7, right? Just slowing down and taking some really deep, intentional breaths. you can do that even before you get up. A lot of times our anxiety kicks in when the day starts. I feel like that sometimes. I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, all of my life is just weighing right on top of me. Sometimes maybe taking 1 or 2 intentional deep breaths when you first wake up, or when you're feeling anxious, just to slow down and just start breathing. And then your focus is going to be on your breathing, and it's not going to be on the thing that's causing you anxiety. And there's also certified breathwork facilitators who do one-on-one breathwork and do group breathwork circles. So if that's something that interests you, there's so many people out there that offer that. Journaling is another big one. I talk about this often, but honestly, journaling is one of the best ways I feel to express yourselves, to release your emotions, to declutter what's up here and actually get it out. You can talk something all day, every day, 24/7, 365. But when you actually put pen to paper and you release it and you actually write, I am feeling sad. This is an example. I am feeling overwhelmed. Whatever it is, that's a form of releasing it. And it allows more space for creativity, for processing when you release it out onto paper, when you journal. And so I like to freehand write. That's my form of journaling. I just write whatever is happening on my heart, whatever it is. Some people really like prompts. So you can find prompts, journal prompts that might be more helpful, that might guide you and might be more structured. I also love journaling for gratitude purposes. I think it's so amazing. I usually start off with, today I am grateful for. Minimum 3 things I have to write every morning what I'm grateful for. And I like to do my journaling first thing in the morning when I wake up, because it's a part of my morning practice and my meditation and my presence. And it sets me up for the day. And I love it. Affirmations are really great as well. Like mantras, affirmations, words, positivity. And I don't mean toxic positivity, but we're trying to rewire our brain, the neural pathways in our brain. It's actually called neuroplasticity. So if we can change that and reshift the thoughts that we're having and reframe them, it really does help. For example, when I was in India, I was actually looking back at journals. I was saying, I can self-heal. I can and I will. I can and I will. And I wrote that, just I can. I kept repeating it on my sheet. I will self-heal. I am confident. I will get through this. Like whatever it is, right? You're training your brain. It's like training a muscle. If you go to the gym, we work out, we lift weights, you're doing that over and over because you're trying to build upon that. So when we're journaling, that's another way. Affirmations, mantras, like words of affirmation, is you're training your brain to reframe the negative thoughts. I think seeking therapy is huge as well. Definitely recommend and encourage that. But these are just things that you can start doing now and then working with them with your therapist or your coach, depending on what you're working with and how deep it is, that the support you're needing. And I think a big tip is buy yourself a really nice journal. Don't just buy a whatever notebook. Buy yourself something that energizes you, that fulfills you, that when you look at it, you're like, oh my gosh, you can feel the essence of the book in itself. Whether that's words or whether that's images. I think that's such a big helpful thing, because when you have something that energizes you and you feel good about, you're going to want to lean into that more. What we put into our bodies matters. And I know you guys must hear this all the time, but it really does. And a big part of why we're in a health crisis in the world is because of nutrition, of what we put into our bodies, all the chemical laced foods, processed food, this and that. I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not anything, but I've learned a lot along my way. And I know those foods do damage. And I do think they aided in my diagnosis and how severe it got. And I was so unhealthy, not just weight wise. I lost a lot of weight in this whole journey, a lot of weight. It's a lot heavier before. And it wasn't just the food, it was just the grief, all the processing, all the stored energy that's in your body also causes us to gain weight. Nutrition is important. It causes inflammation, and not just on the physical aspect of things, right? Like obviously we understand that, but it also impacts us mentally and emotionally. So being mindful and cautious of what you're eating, it definitely matters. Ecotherapy, ecotherapy, ecotherapy. Love it, love it, love it. It's a modality that is available to you 24/7, 365. I swear by it. The ocean, the beach, through the forest, hiking, just being outside the sun. Nature is very healing. It's available to us any time of any day. There's no reason why we can't just step outside. And you'll notice it just calms you down. It brings you into your presence. It allows you to see life. There's something else. There's living creatures, living organisms out there. and tapping into our five senses. When we're out, what do we see? What do we hear? What can we touch? What can we feel? What can we smell? The flowers or the bark of the tree, whatever it is. Just really slowing down and being present with that. Ecotherapy is honestly one of the best things, and it's free. There's no cost to it. Most of these, there's no cost to, or there's a limited cost. You can make it a big cost, but it doesn't have to be. A lot of these things are actually things we can do in our home right now. I can do all of this right now on my own to start. Pleasure, fun. I think this is such a big one when it comes to like healing and modality and practices is pleasure and fun. Bringing out your inner child. We're meant to have fun. What's the point of life if we're not having fun? I am working on this because I also feel like there was a lack of that in my life because I was healing and I was so into that. And then I went back to school. So then I was in my schooling and education and my industry was that. The last couple of years came to my awareness that I actually don't have much balance. And so I don't have much fun. It's more on the professional and personal development. So I'm working on it. I think it's really important to bring out our inner child. What were the things that we used to do when we were a kid that really brightened our day and allowed us to just be present and have fun and feel regulated? Bring those things back, whether it's jumping on a trampoline, riding your bike, jumping through the sprinkler, riding a scooter, whatever it is for you that fulfilled you. I look at my nieces and nephews and I love it because they bring out that in me because I can be very rigid. I can be very in the personal and professional development world. And naturally, because I do very much love it, but it's not healthy when there's an imbalance. And so I'm working on it. I've come a long ways actually in 3 years since it all came to the forefront. But I really want to encourage you as well. Do those things. When you're with a kid, like what is it? They have no fear, they're no worry, they're just laughing and having fun. Laughing is the best medicine. And just soaking that all in. Really important for healing. Healing doesn't always have to be so sad and so scary and so heavy. There's big aspects to that, but it's not everything. Last but not least, conscious consumption. I talked about it, about what you listen to, what you watch, what you hear, the people you surround yourself with is very important in your life, in your healing, and in your growth. Because that energy brings us down. If you're watching the news every day, 24/7, you're gonna feel that energy because the news is all negative. And mind you, a lot of it's bullshit. If you know, you know. You're not getting the full truth from it. Everything is so dark and heavy and negative all the time. They spin shit to make it worse, to catch your attention. If you're listening to that all the time, that's what your energy is gonna be like. You're gonna feel so heavy and bogged down. We're not meant to be tuned into that 24/7. People you hang out with, this is huge. If people you hang out with are draining your energy, there's something wrong. You probably need to reevaluate those situations. If they're not bringing more light into you or more energy, bringing more vitality into your life, and you're just going home, you're like, oh, that was so draining and so not it, then there's something there. And I think a lot of times that happens naturally. I think it just does. But it's important to recognize that, create boundaries in your life. I definitely don't like that. When I leave somewhere feeling, ugh, and just the energy's down, the energy's just not there. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I just think maybe two people have grown apart. Those things matter. What we watch, what you listen to. What kind of music are you listening to? What are the lyrics? What are the words? Everything in our life is energy. So if that's energy, you're listening to like really fucked up lyrics or just things that aren't on a high vibration, it's going to impact you. What are you watching? What shows are you watching? What kind of energy are the shows bringing to you? That all matters. That all plays into everything that we've been talking about today so far, into our health, into our mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health, right? Conscious consumption. It's really important, and it's okay to cut ties with things, people that aren't bringing you, elevating you. Why would you want to be with people or things if it's bringing you down, if it's not adding any value to your life, but you're actually feeling depleted? It's not it. 2025, that's not the energy. Absolutely no way not. And I recognize it can be hard because there might be some really special people that you feel like have been there for a really long time and there's such a deep history. But I've come to learn that that doesn't matter. History doesn't matter. If you're not feeling reciprocated or received, or you're just feeling depleted after a conversation, that's not the energy. I definitely wouldn't want that. And so conscious consumption just being really important. And that's just everything, right? What are you eating? Are you conscious about what you're eating? Are you conscious about just areas of your life? Your sleep? This encompasses everything. Your sleep, your movement. Are you conscious about how much you're moving? It's actually a tracker. I was a part of a coaching group for a while and I loved it. I took a break for a little bit, but she created a wheel. I've seen different variations of it. We actually were taught one when I was in school. It looked a little bit different, but this one is basically she created a wheel and it has all these different categories like sleep, movement, nutrition, what have you. And you basically are rating it. Again, it's like a tracking tool. Where are you right now in your life? So maybe even jot those down. These areas in your life, take a notepad, write them down, and write where you are at. Use a tracking scale. Where are you at right now? Out of 0 to 10. And then track it and then start making the changes and then come back to it and see where you are in a month. Has that number increased? It's a really good way to track. I think we need to be able to track things. We need to look back and reflect and see where we were and where we are now. That's the only way we're going to see if we've grown and we changed. You'll also feel it internally. You'll instantly start feeling it. If you start feeling lighter and more calm and more relaxed and more regulated and you can breathe, you'll notice that. It'll happen. So 5 months from now, if you fell off of your habits, which we all do, I do, you can go back and be like, okay, I felt like this and I felt really shitty. But once I started doing this, I felt really good. And it brings you back. You're like, okay, I've been out of it. I've lost myself a little bit, but how do I get back to the habits? And it's just such a great way because you're actually visualizing it, right? Visualization is huge. So when you see something, it just hits different than when it's just in your head. It actually doesn't process and register as much until we see it. I'm going to leave it at that. Share this with anyone. Share the Story Hour podcast. It's on Spotify, Apple. You can watch it on YouTube. I'm very much a connection person, be able to see the person. So if that's you, you can watch the full episode live on YouTube. Download any episodes, subscribe to it wherever you watch your podcast. It helps to get in front of more people. And my whole purpose is to bring this conversation, these conversations to light and to bring it out into the world and to really help and support you all, also to bring conversations onto the Story Hour podcast. And so that is the goal. And so the more people that know about it and can find it, that would be really helpful. Otherwise, we'll see you for episode 3.